I'm your host, Carolyn Solo, LCSW, EMDR therapist, and mom of 3 daughters. Thank you for joining me. Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 49 of the Future Template Parent Podcast. I am Carolyn Solo, LCSW, PhD, EMDR therapist, and mom of 3 daughters. Thanks for joining me. So last week in episode 48, I talked about money mindset traps that you can get your way from setting a fee at the level that's sustainable for your practice and for you. And today I'm going to talk about 3 common mistakes I see EMDR therapists make when they are switching to intensives. The first problem I'm going to talk about is keeping their fee the same as their hourly fee. Second, not telling their local referral network and their current clients about their new offering. And third, not adding a separate page for intensives on their website. So let's go. So the first big mistake I see is therapists thinking that they have to charge the same hourly rate for their intensives as they do for a 45 or 50-minute weekly session. If their hourly rate is $200, they charge $1,000, 5 times 200 for a 5-hour intensive day, $1,000. And I hear therapists saying, but that's so much money already, $1,000 a day. How do I justify increasing the amount even further? Well, I will tell you, in my experience, no one bats an eye when you tell them that you charge more per hour for an intensive. And from the informal survey I've done of other intensive therapists, they also charge more. So just know that. What I do, though, is I tell the potential client the rate, and I give them a couple of reasons why, and then I'll give you a whole bunch in a second. And then usually they say, okay. I mean, chances are, if they're interested in an intensive, they are very aware that it's a big financial commitment. And, another few $100s probably won't be the difference between whether or not they decide to do it. And then one thing I've actually seen some therapists do is charge less per hour for an intensive than for a regular session. I don't know, like buy 4, get 1 free rate or something. Please don't do this. But if you have, it probably comes from a place of fear, like, I have to make this seem like a deal or nobody will want it or something, but it cheapens the value of what you do. And I think it cheapens the value in your client's eyes, right? Like, a well visit at the doctor should cost less than surgery, right? The same idea should apply to an intensive. More is being done. The results are significantly more than one would get in hourly sessions. So more money makes sense. Like, more is required of you. As I've talked about so much, the Disney Fast Pass of therapy, that you skip the line, you don't have to wait, no waiting, but better results, right? Someone else talks about, an intensive is like binging a TV show. And in my intensive model, as I've talked about before, 15 hours of therapy over a couple of weeks. And I tell people, and I firmly believe this, that 15 hours are at least the equivalent of 30 hours of weekly sessions. If you want to know more about this, go back and find other episodes where I talk all about this. 30 weekly sessions. What's that, like 7-8 months of therapy? If you meet every week with someone, so probably even more, right? Math, yay. It actually might be more than that. The value is more than you get more, you get more done than you would in 30 weekly sessions in 15 hours of an intensive. Why am I having a hard time saying this? So yeah, they're getting more value for the money. In some ways, it is a discount, right? So let's do the math if you don't believe me. Your average non-intensive therapy session is 50 minutes, right? And let's say an intensive day is 5 hours of therapy, which I do sometimes, right? 2.5 hours, hour break, 2.5 hours. So 5 hours of therapy is 300 minutes, right? 60 times 5. A month of weekly 50-minute sessions is 50 times 4, 200 minutes. So already, one intensive day offers 100 more minutes of therapy, so 2 additional 50-minute sessions, then a month of 50-minute sessions. And then if you multiply 300 times 3, that's 900 minutes, right? 300 minutes is a 5-hour day, times 3 days, 900 minutes. So how many are you guys following me? I know I'm doing all this math. How many 50-minute sessions is 900 minutes? Well, 900 divided by 50 is 18. 18 divided by 4 sessions a month is 4.5 months. One, that's assuming that you meet every single week without missing a week with a client, which often doesn't happen, right? And then, of course, that's not considering the fact that you open up and close each one of those 18 sessions, right? Like you do a check-in, you say what's going on this week, maybe you talk a little bit about problem of the week, you check in on the target, you process, and then you close down. You could lose up to 30 minutes of a session doing that. And you're only opening up and closing down once in an intensive day. So you're getting a lot more time. And I've also talked about the kind of the dropping in, that can take time, and sort of being in the zone, you can make a lot more progress more quickly. So yeah, I do stand by the 6 months plus amount of progress in 15 hours, right? The math is mathing, or whatever they say. And so they're doing the healing in so much more time. They're going to feel better so much faster. And there's ripple effects in your life, right? If you feel way better in 2 weeks, how different could your life be than if you start to feel better over 6 months, right? You're still struggling with the impacts of that for 6 months. Like, so, the benefits of their relationships, of their work, like if someone is having such significant anxiety that they can't return to work, do you want to wait 6 months for that to get better? How about a week? How about a week and a half, right? You can't put a dollar value on that. And also consider your own energy levels, right? How many clinical hours feel good for you in a week? And when you're sitting, so you have to consider that, right? And I've often said, if I do an intensive in a week, I'm not seeing other clients that week. And when you're sitting with the same person and you're attuning to them that intensely, that's draining. And you don't have the same kinds of built-in breaks that you do between sessions. But if you are charging an appropriate fee, right, you can not see someone. You can have the days that you're not doing an intensive that week be completely free, right? Days off, even whole weeks off, right? Because you want to be fully rested and fully focused on that intensive client. Like that's part of what they're paying for, is your undivided attention. And I've talked before about creating that like retreat-like experience for your intensive, and you're probably doing intensives in person. So you got rent money, you want to pay for snacks, tea, nice cozy environment. You want to have it be really soothing. All that stuff costs money, right? Charge more per hour for your intensive. I hope I've made my case. And the programs that I offer, the VIP day and my group coaching program, help you come up with a fee structure that works and sustainable, and I'll help you learn how to talk about your fee in a way that feels really grounded, so that you don't end up providing someone with a discount that they're not asking for and that you can't really afford. So the next big mistake, that therapists aren't personally telling people about their new intensive offering. Okay, sure, it's great to have something on your website. In fact, you should, which is what I talk about in point 3, but that's not enough. Talking about it on social media is not enough. You know what you have to do, whether or not you want to do it. Talk to real, live, actual people about this. Your hot leads and your warm leads, what I like to call your hot leads and your warm leads, are the keys to filling your intensive practice as quickly as possible. I know there are people out there who have built an entire practice without in-person networking, and great, more power to them. But most of us will benefit hugely from like tapping into our personal networks. So your hot leads are your current clients, and they are your number one referral source, in that you can offer them, your current hourly EMDR clients, an intensive. And they already know you, they trust you, they know that you're and you have this great new service to offer them that could be transformational for them. So you can think of maybe like 3 clients, the ones that are the clients that you feel like are a perfect fit for you, right? The ones that you feel excited about working with, the ones that like respond really well to your style. Maybe you've gotten some targets cleared, so you can feel really confident about your work with them. So that's the person to pitch an intensive to. You don't have to sell them on EMDR as a modality. All you have to do is give them a rundown of why an intensive would like move their progress along even more. And I said think of these 3 clients because it'll feel easy to talk to them, right? So you can offer them an intensive first, or work intensively, right? Like a couple hours, maybe 1 4-hour, 1-day session. It'll give you some practice. It'll make you feel more calm and like grounded about talking about intensives. You'll feel more competent with like the intensive model as a whole, in case you have some anxiety about, it's going to feel so long, I'm going to be tired, what if I don't know what to do? Of course, as you probably know by now, I'm going to teach you exactly what to do in an intensive if you work with me. And you practice sort of both talking about the intensive and what you do when you offer one. And then you might even consider saying, after X date, I will only be working intensively, right? And that could be, 4 hours once a month or once every 6 weeks with this person. And remember, I'm asking you to start with 3 clients, not your entire practice, which you certainly can do. But if it feels scary to do that, try with these first 3 and see what happens, okay? But most importantly, don't neglect this incredibly valuable referral source, okay? Your clients that already know you and trust you. So who are your warm leads? These are your favorite therapists, your referral buddies, the ones who know you and trust you, and you've referred to them and they refer to you. It could be an EMDR therapist, it could be a non-EMDR therapist, but these are the people to make sure you tell very proactively, I'm offering this new service. It's also important to pitch it as like, this is how my work can support your work. I'm not trying to poach your clients. EMDR intensives are great for that because you're saying, hey, if you have a client who's stuck on this one thing, we'll work on it. I'll send them back to you for weekly therapy, right? I've had several referrals come to me this way, and my therapist friends are always excited to hear about this. We don't feel like we're competing with each other. We're helping each other, actually. And it's up to them when you tell them about the service if they want to tell any of their clients about it. But the response I've often gotten is them being like, oh my gosh, I know someone who would be perfect for this. That's so great, blah, blah, blah. And of course, you want to be talking to your other out-of-network therapists because, an insurance-based client probably won't be able to tack this. I mean, we don't know that for sure, but it might feel easier with your referral networks who are other out-of-network referral sources, not networks, referral sources who are also out-of-network. Right? You don't have to explain the cost to them in the same way. So I also recommend connecting with other EMDR therapists who are doing intensives in your area, because they know people that might need them that don't fit into their schedule or that don't fit into their niche. Intensive therapists can be booked out for weeks because, it's a long chunk of time that they book somebody for, and then, they can have a waiting list. Maybe they do 2 a month like I do, and after 6 clients, they're booked out for 3 months, whatever. And the person who contacts them wants sooner. You want to be on their list of people to call. And, it just will be interesting to talk to them. You can ask them about, I know your service is really awesome and I'm just starting. I have a couple of questions. There's a lot of ways to do it so it feels organic and like you're just trying to connect professionally, right? And it's also just like a great professional resource because you learn what other people are doing, you get ideas, like everyone does intensives differently. It's just fun to have that support and that networking. And there's other providers and professionals that you can also consider as warm leads who are not therapists, who know you and trust you, who would be open to hearing about this. Doctor, pediatrician, OBGYN, acupuncturist, massage therapist, the director of your child's preschool, people who already like and know and trust you in another context. Great. They would be interested in hearing about this. Maybe if you're in a religious community, of course, you're always going to be mindful of dual relationships when you're talking to people that you have other connections with, but you're professionals, you know how to handle that. But yeah, also your current clients are a great referral source, right? If they do an intensive with you, they can tell somebody else. And the more you sort of work you put in over a few months with making connections, the less you're going to have to do later because there will be some momentum, right? It will start happening. People will start talking about you. And then you can relax a little bit. You can never stop marketing, I firmly believe, but you can relax a lot. And some of this high intensity, kind of high energy output in-person networking, you can chill out on that a little bit. So yeah, of course, we talk all about this in my programs. Let's get your plan down for talking to clients and your referral networks. And let's, one of the things I like about both of my programs, the VIP Day and the group coaching program, is that there's built-in accountability, right? We have a plan for you, and then you have to go and implement it. And also let me know that you've implemented it, right? And in the group program, it's not just going to be me keeping you accountable. It's going to be all of your colleagues. So we're going to hold your feet to the fire. I think that's one of the biggest problems with any kind of business change and why people often turn to coaching and group coaching is because we need accountability. You can listen to a million podcast episodes, but are you doing these things? So yeah. So final mistake I'm going to talk about is not having a page on your website devoted to intensives specifically. Like I said just now, it's likely having a page is not enough to get your practice full, but you still need to have it. It's an important part of the package. It's your not just your digital business card, it's like your digital, it's the biggest footprint you have on the internet, basically. The place where you have the opportunity to have the most long form content about exactly what you do. And, you get to explain exactly what your intensive offering entails, maybe how you stand out, answer potential questions. And it also shows your seriousness regarding offering intensives. You believe in your practice it's something that's deserving of its own page, right? And another way that I tell website visitors that intensives are my thing, and this may not be a popular approach, but it's worked for me, is that I have a pop-up that appears immediately on my website whenever anyone lands there that talks about intensives. And on that pop-up, there's a button that brings the client directly to the intensives page. So it drives a ton of traffic to that page, and my website stats reflect that the pop-up is working. So something to consider. It might not be your style. It's worked for me. So on my webpage, and I've talked about this extensively in other episodes, but just a bit of an overview, I have a bunch of sections. The first section is, what are the benefits of an EMDR intensive? And a little bit about what is EMDR, right? And so basically the start of a bang for the buck argument, right? Let's get so much more done in less time. And so I'm losing my place here. And I talk about the research on intensives as well. I think it's great to have research to back you up on this page because intensives are kind of new. And of course, there are people who are new to EMDR at all. So you do want to have some content on the intensives page about that if that's the first place they're landing. And then I would also have a place to link to a longer explanation somewhere else on your site. But anyway, intensives are kind of a newish model. Most people think of therapy as 50 minutes, right? So you do want to explain it, and you want to explain the research on it. And the research is very promising. There's not a ton of it, but it's very promising. And I think it kind of positions you as an expert that you know about the research, okay? And then I also talk about what to expect before, during, and after an intensive session so they feel prepared. I talk about resourcing. I talk about treatment planning. I talk about what processing looks like, how to stay grounded, how to stay grounded during the session and between sessions, what we might accomplish, and certain positive outcomes. I talk very generally, of course, not referring to any client in particular, but I give some sense of positive outcomes. And then, and I think this is important, I also talk more specifically about the intensive experience that I offer, what an EMDR intensive is like at my practice. And I talk about, how long things take, what the structure is. And I spend some time on creating a sense of a retreat-like experience, right? What, comforts and not quite luxuries, but, what amenities, I guess is the word, do I offer as part of my intensive? I talk about the blankets and the pillows and the comfy place to put your feet up and the different kinds of BLS and the snacks and the drinks and the restaurants that are nearby for lunch and all sorts of things. I talk about the workbook that I give them to complete before the first intensive. I also talk about how I follow up with clients after the intensive. So all that. And then of course you would tailor this to whatever your offering looks like. And then finally, at the bottom of the page, in big letters and numbers, the cost. I do not believe in hiding it. I do not believe in making people click around to find it. This is my opinion. Do what you're comfortable with, but I think be transparent. It costs a lot. Be transparent about that. And personally, and I think I said this in the last episode, if a website makes me click all around to find the cost of something, goodbye, I'm going somewhere else. I don't want to do that. If you're not transparent about your price, why should I trust you? I don't understand why you would need to hide it from me. So I really think it's a good idea, and it helps weed people out who can't afford it, right? And make sure you have call to action buttons schedule a consult call sprinkled throughout the website. I use the widget on Simple Practice where if they click on that, they can immediately schedule a free consult on my calendar. I like to make it as easy as possible for people to contact me. We all know how much people hate phone calls. I hate phone calls, right? So if I am on a service provider's website and I can just schedule a consult without making a phone call, yes, please, I'm going to do that. So make it easy. So why have all this? I think it sets you up as an expert. It makes it clear to potential clients that this is what you do, this is what you specialize in, this is what you focus on. It explains to them why it's a good option for them. It answers as many potential questions as they might have that you can think of. The more you can answer their questions before they speak to you in person, the more ready they will be to say yes when you get them on the consult call. And it shows you as an expert that you're like, think, I thought about this, I thought about this, I thought about this. This is incredibly well thought out and structured. Here's why I think it will work for you. It's very, very persuasive. And I don't think you're making anything up because it's all true. But it just comes across as like someone who knows their stuff and is confident in their offering. And like I said, it's going to weed out the people who are not a good fit, right? And that's saves time for everyone. So sure, is it necessary to have a web page on like a web page devoted to intensives on your page to start offering them? No, of course not. But it's a huge asset. It will improve your SEO. You know, you'll start coming up on Google when people search intensives, which more and more people are doing because more and more people know about them. So I really think you should prioritize it when you can, okay? And so I know writing web copy, about as fun as a trip to the dentist, but it's so important, but we all put it off, just like trips to the dentist. Well, maybe not all of you do, but I certainly do. But because it's so important, because I know it's hard to motivate yourself to do, this is why I focus intently in both my VIP coaching day and my coaching program on writing web copy. You'll come out of either program with your unique, specialized, and detailed web copy for your website written, with me giving you feedback and input as you write and at the end and all that stuff. Like I said, accountability, so important. I will make sure that you prioritize this and get it done. So I really urge you, don't leave it. I mean, hey, maybe you're getting intensives up the wazoo without having to say anything about it on your website. But I don't think that's most people's experience. It's all part of the package. You know, you have your social media presence, you have your website, maybe you have like other ways of making yourself known. It all goes together, right? You know, and having all those things just really helps you appear professional and like the person to go to for this thing. Okay, so today was about 3 big mistakes therapists can make when they offer intensives in their practice at first. If this resonated with you and you have more questions, reach out to me on Instagram at FutureTemplateParent, my website, www.futuretemplateparent.com, and let me support you and keep you from making these mistakes, okay? I made some of these mistakes and they set me back, so don't do it. And let me help you be further along than I was, okay? I'm excited for next week's episode. It's a big one. It's my 50th episode, which feels wild. So I decided to celebrate this landmark episode by sharing 12 ways for 12 months that intensives have changed my life. So tune in for that. As always, I just so appreciate you listening, and take care, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye, everyone.